All right, welcome to the latest edition of the FPL America podcast. This is David Smith.
Travis Hoig.
That "the" has never carried more weight
Then right this second.
tonight. Brian Shesko.
Listen, look, Travis,
This is the third time we've tried this.
This is
and
okay.
It's not been great.
this is okay.
We just need to drink more.
In the last, God knows how many years of producing, Travis, I've been on, as Brian knows, and Travis, you're newer to this. I have screwed up so many times, and sometimes there's been times we've recorded for 30 minutes and I never hit the record button.
We came pretty close. 12 minutes. 13 minutes.
Don't worry
Come on,
about it.
guys.
It is fine. It is fine. We're going to dive right back into this.
Hey, I will say this. The one thing I'm glad about is maybe you can clean up your sailor speak.
Brian had a
because
filthy
it was going to be,
mouth.
it was just like constant.
Filthy mouth.
It was just one.
He always has a problem with that,
profanity-laden
Travis.
rant after another.
I mean, Elliot can never listen to this podcast.
For sure.
well, that all changes tonight because we've got a lot to talk about.
We do. All right,
do.
really quickly, I might have to call in next week as I will be, along with the rest of my family, all my extended family. I'm the oldest of 6, so there's going to be a total of 33, I think, humans.
You guys Mormon?
No, but our last name is Smith.
Yeah.
There's 17 grandkids on my side of the family. I'm the oldest of 6. We're all going to Disney World this week, so I might be recording from the Magic Kingdom, maybe the Animal Kingdom, maybe Epcot. I have no idea.
You have a park hopper? Are you guys doing a park hopper?
We're not. We're doing the 4-day pass, not park hopper. So
I really do want so badly for you to record in the park, asking characters what to do with your fantasy lineup. I really want you to do that.
That would be perfect for YouTube Shorts.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, let's do it.
Maybe Travis, if I was a smart human, and I could just record the videos, pump
Send
them
them
to
to
you,
me.
and
We'll
then
get
you
'em
could
up.
send them. That would actually.
Let's do it.
The problem
Whatever
is
you got.
the characters don't talk. That's
all
the
right.
problem, right?
Just left hand, right hand. Just make them point to something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Even if
they
I
still
Some
have
of them do. The
They still
princesses
tell you
can
what,
talk.
I will interview them holding a baguette as a microphone, expecting
You're
them
gonna get a baguette. Well,
from
Epcot,
the
maybe.
French pastry at Epcot.
All right.
I will. Maybe it'll be a pretzel. Maybe
All
it'll
right.
be a spoon. Maybe every single time it'll be something
All right.
different.
Hey, you're committing now.
That's scary, and I
is good.
hate that I just did that.
All right.
All right. All that being said,
So check
I might have
YouTube.
to phone in next week. So it might not sound as good because I'll be out of town. Travis is the tech
figure it
maestro
out.
that puts all this together. So whether it's video, audio, and then Travis, I know in our previous recording you mentioned you sort of had an apology. In fact, Brian,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's worthy
Oh,
of
yeah.
the apology that he would have to read.
It was bad.
But
All
Travis,
right.
if you want
I
to
was
fall on
coming
that
clean.
sword, you want
Yeah.
to fall on that sword?
Yeah, so not only did I screw the recording up tonight, I realized that I did all the post-production work on last week's episode for the audio, ready to go to SoundCloud, and somehow in the chaos of having 16 people in my house,
Yeah, you had a full house.
we are also not Mormon.
Okay.
My in-laws were all here.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Correct. Yeah, right there. It's just every Mormon I know is there's like 900 of them, and they all have the same last name. So all that to say, I did all the work. I found a quiet spot, did all the work, got it ready to go, and then never uploaded our last episode to SoundCloud. So sorry if you went to go find our awesome episode.
It was awesome. It was on YouTube.
It was on YouTube. We haven't missed anything YouTube-wise, but SoundCloud or your podcast has not been great. I take full responsibility. I'm deeply sorry for what I've done, and it will probably happen again, so sorry.
I was gonna say. We'll give the email address out at the end where you can send complaints.
It's just management@fplamerica.com. Which is funny because I was playing with our website at one point, and we abandoned that, by the way. And Google asked me if I wanted to set that up as an email address. I was like, that would be awesome.
Management at. Okay, I like that.
We gave up. It was going to cost me like $30 a year. I was like,
That's not worth it.
I'm not that invested in this hobby.
To get bad emails, paying money to receive like
Whatever.
bad emails.
Hey,
Thankfully-
some prince in Nigeria
gonna
might want
say,
me to, send him some
Thankfully,
money.
That's fair.
We're
That's
off
true.
the
Get to his-
.ru, the Russian site that we had before. That was the management site prior. So this is
Right.
good. The emails will actually go to someone who can do something
That's
about
true.
the complaints.
That is
fair.
true.
All right.
Yep.
All that being said, I will be next week in Magic Kingdom. Hey, listen, a side note, you might see me eating a cookie. Travis came downstairs with these amazing shortbread Christmas tree cookies he's been keeping on his
Yeah.
porch because it's 16 degrees outside.
It was 16 degrees this morning.
And
Felt every bit of it.
I haven't had any dinner, so you might see me eating them on camera. That's just part of the pod life. All that, all right.
I don't think those cookies are your because you're keto now, are you?
These are gluten free.
I cut, really?
No,
I wish.
So I'm
I do.
so
I
hungry.
honestly,
As I haven't
now
had
that
dinner.
I literally, I can't believe I didn't. In the bag that I took those out of, there's 2 boxes of gluten free cookies in there,
I
and I just don't care that
choices-
much about you. I guess
That's
I didn't
fair.
bring them down here.
No problem. I'm so hungry, I don't care. It's
Sorry.
not like it's an allergy. It's a preference.
It's a good
All right.
dinner,
and at this point, beggars cannot be choosers.
and it will fuel what we have to talk about.
Absolutely. So we're here
Do
to
we
talk
have anything to
about,
talk about?
FPL. We're not here to talk about Disney or how many times that we have recorded this podcast.
Too many.
We are here to talk about the FPL. We're going to dive into it. Brian, as we get started here, last time we recorded, which was a couple weeks ago, because the Premier League, they don't like to necessarily schedule in a winter break, so they just scheduled a match week over 2 weeks as the unofficial, in quotes, winter break. But that's honestly what it is. The old stodgy guys who were in the Premier League office are like, oh, we're
Their bowler
gonna have a
hats
winter
and their
People-
pipes.
People have been asking for a winter break. There's no way
Yeah.
no way we can give them what they want, but we'll do it in our own way so
Yeah.
that we'll have the match week spread out over 2 weeks. Everyone will have a minimum of 10 days of, in quotes, rest in between games, and that will be
Worked out.
our, in quotes, winter break.
Great. Give guys
So,
some time.
That's
off.
what we did. So we did not record last week. Obviously, we were in the middle of a match week. Brings us to this week. Match week is over. We're recording on a Monday. Wolves Brighton just got done today. It was action-packed 0-0 game that we may or may not discuss, depending on how we feel by the end of this podcast. All that being said, last time we recorded, Brian,
Yes.
we discussed many, many things. One of which, Travis and I were like, hey, we might wild card.
Yeah.
Brian, you were last pod said, I'm not wild carding, but I might take him.
You were going to take like a negative 18 or
I'm
something.
at
I was
least going to take
prepared.
it. I'm
I
at
was
least going to take a
prepared.
hit.
It depended on how many people I knew for sure were going to be out.
So I'll tell you really quick what my thought process was. I looked at my team. I had a bunch of dead weight in defense. I had Bowen with orange triangle.
Did you still own Matty Cash?
I did.
There's some
Yep.
dead weight. All right.
I owned Anderson, dead weight.
Ooh, yeah.
Anyways, and then I also had
Jamal
Salah's
Lascelles.
son, Bowen. I did have Jamal Lascelles.
Yeah, you did. You had my lineup.
I'm telling you, I had a bunch of dead weight. So I was in the camp. I'm like, in my mind, Brian. I hear Brian, and he's like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm probably gonna take a hit. And I'm like, wait a minute. I started making changes. I'm like, I'm up to like Travis, I'm minus 32.
At that, yeah, you got to pull the trigger.
And at that point, I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna take hits, I'm just gonna push it down the road.
yeah,
I'm just gonna push it down the road, hope for the best this week, and I end up turning in a 70 this week, which is a decent score.
fine.
In fact, unfortunately for me, on my bench, I had Joe Gomez and Pedro Porro,
Wow.
who both got 6, 10, and 6 respectively.
yeah, that's rough.
Did not come into. I had a selection issue. It's funny, on a wild card, all my guys had good matchups.
Yeah,
And then it became a tough selection. So, anyways, what I ended up with, and I will quickly go through this.
let's hear it.
Dubravka, Areola, goalkeepers. Defense,
Okay.
Saliba, Estupinian, Doughty, Joe Gomez, Pedro Porro.
All
I
right.
wanted a little piece of the
I like
Liverpool
that.
defense. And Joe Gomez seemed like he was cheaper than Van Dijk, but he seemed to be locked in, especially based on all the other injuries they have going
Robertson's coming back. Trent Alexander-Arnold is coming back. They're both basically on the same timetable right now. So
That might,
Gomez is a good pick. It was a good pick, and obviously 10, but you didn't get it.
I know.
But you may want to look at that.
Sure.
Just FYI.
Midfield, Richarlison, Palmer, Foden, Diogo Jota, Saka. And a lot of those names, in fact, almost all of them pointed.
Yeah, they hit.
And then my front line did
Except
not
for Saka.
change. My front line did not change. It was Solanke, Alvarez, and Watkins. And anyways,
also didn't hit,
this match week none of those guys hit. But anyways, I still turned into 7.
That's
you
great.
so- are
Way
you-
better than me.
Are you satisfied with having kept Watkins? I'm surprised, given if I was wild carding, even if I was wild carding last week, I would have had to think about that.
So
I know we
got
talked.
one.
I'm thinking about it right now.
So he got 1
Yeah.
point against Burnley the week before. I'm sorry, he got 1 point against Everton the week before. He had 8 points against Burnley. Manchester United, Sheffield before that he had 2 and 2, and then Brentford before that he had 9. So
he hasn't gone 3 weeks without
Villa at
hitting.
home, and with Villa's upcoming schedule, I don't know why you don't want Ollie Watkins now.
No, I mean the
It-
schedule's,
it-
the
100%,
schedule's good.
yeah.
The schedule's good.
On
It's
my
not-
wild
it's
card-
not that. They've had a good schedule for a while. I guess that's what I'm thinking. Is that it's not.
He's probably going to not do great against Newcastle, and he'll probably do fine against Sheffield. Then he won't do great against United. It's just like
Maybe,
and then
maybe, but look,
hit or
so-
miss on against Fulham. And then he has Nottingham Forest, Luton, and
So-
he should hit with those, right? So
I have 9.4 in the bank.
That's a lot.
that is a lot.
So-
is that to bring Holland or Salah back?
Both.
Okay,
Okay, so
you going to be able to get both?
absolutely, because I'll let Saka go and or Jota and or Foden, and I will move to whoever I need. Whoever I need to, and then Alvarez and
You're
or
probably going to have to take a hit or spread it out over like 4 weeks, though, right?
if I got to take a hit for 1 week, not a big deal. Look, coming off this match week, Brian will get to this as there are multiple cup matches coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to make a move, and I'll let you speak into this until the match week's about to start. Coming off a wild card, I might not have to make a move, period. Therefore, I can just bank it this week and then save 2 for the
maybe.
following week. And
You
then,
are set up pretty nice,
and then,
schedule-wise.
and then I don't have to worry about it at all. So, Brian, multiple cup matches coming up.
Yeah.
And what should we think about as all these cup matches are happening?
Transfers right away, right?
By the
That's-
way,
that's
I'm
what
going to
you
eat a
usually
cookie
say.
while Brian's
Yeah,
talking.
use your transfers as fast as possible because that's what everybody seems to keep doing. No, there's first of all there's EFL Cup games tomorrow: Chelsea and Middlesbrough, Fulham, Liverpool, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You have everyone that's obviously everybody that's left in the FA Cup has something. So by Sunday afternoon, you at least here you'll know what's the result of all of these things. Did anyone get hurt? And then what that does down the road for blank and double game
I was going to
weeks.
say that's a big deal too.
We already know, confirmed now, Manchester City has a double game week in game week 25. Brentford double game week in 25. It's possible, depending on the outcome of certain things, that Liverpool might have a double game week in game
Surprised you
week
didn't pick Tony
25.
for double game week.
Just think of what that will. I mean, I get it. That's 4 game weeks away. Still, that's a lot that can happen, and paying attention to what's going to happen in the next couple of days, next few days. Depending on injuries and depending on what you have as far as you have you didn't use a free hit this week. You probably depending on what you did, whether you have your wild card or not, how you want to set your team up. For bench boost as well.
Yeah.
These are things that you can kind of start looking at now, and by Sunday you'll have a clearer picture of what that looks like. This is where someone like we've talked about, it's just an essential follow for FPL is Ben Crellin. Ben Crellin keeps track of all of this on giant spreadsheet looking tables and kind of
He is number one.
Yes, for sure, and not just for what's actually happening, the way the schedule actually looks, but giving a kind of a forecast percentage chances of what game week will have what, and has gotten really good at predicting kind of what the future of the FPL
The match weeks
landscape
look like.
what they'll look like.
So with something like that, do you go off those and start planning your moves that far ahead?
No, I
'Cause
mean
that seems a little crazy, right?
I don't.
But I know I know League Billy in our mini league does.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
is really good at planning multiple weeks ahead. I'm not.
Which is fine. Like I feel like you should like planning a couple weeks ahead with fixtures and things is generally okay. Like if you have an idea and so you have transfers or you're willing to take hits based on matchups and who you're going to bring in, like I get that to some extent. But like mapping out like who you're going to bring in when with as fragile as a lot of these players are and as crazy as some of these schedules kind of get.
I hear you. I cannot do it.
No,
a lot of people do it.
That's why I think when you start talking, almost concretely about this is my transfer next week will be this guy, and in 2 weeks I will go for this guy, and then in 3 weeks I'll have this, and this is how much money I'll have to be able to bring in this guy. And it's like we have no idea. I mean, did you really think that Mo Salah was going to pick up a hamstring injury in AFCON?
It doesn't sound like the timeline is going to be significantly different than if they had gone all the way to the final.
True, very true.
But yes,
but still, I mean that's somebody
but it's a larger question mark
for sure. And we'll talk about
saying like 20 days, or
right?
something like that.
Depending on it's 21 or 28. That's the report that came out today. We can talk about
from
that.
His agent. So he's obviously a doctor, I'm sure. So
for sure, and that's why I think, but that's exactly it. Like the Haaland injury. Weeks and weeks ago, the correct move was to sell him immediately and get someone.
But a lot of people held him.
Right.
I did for a week or two.
I held him for weeks and weeks thinking it's not going to be as bad as it sounds. And then within weeks, you find out, well, it's actually more significant than it was what it seemed initially.
Well, the Premier League injury protocol is right on top of it because it makes the teams really be honest about where the injury status is.
It's just come out and say it in their press conferences.
It's about clarity, and we all know that. No, I think nothing is funnier than the way that managers are going to be protective of the players and their strategy and who's going to be lineups and things like that. The point is, I'm just saying like. The correct move was to get rid of Haaland immediately. You don't know that necessarily at the beginning. It pays off for anybody who did do that.
Yeah.
Now, something for me, my decision to make transfers that I did going into this game week, it was with the anticipation that South Korea is going to do better in the Asian Cup than Egypt is going to do an AFCON, and I'll hold Salah and I'll sell Son, thinking that Son is going to potentially be out, a longer period of time. We're now, given the injury, the correct sell was probably Salah. So what I'm saying is, like, you don't know,
or both,
right?
Anyways,
or definitely,
it didn't matter.
And right. And if I had wild carded, neither of them would have been in my team and would have done what you did.
And you still can, right? Because you still have your wild card, right?
Yes, and that's what I'm saying, like. I don't think anyone, the biggest, kind of wrench in the turbine this week was Kevin De Bruyne coming back strong, like out of nowhere, and
really
now,
strong.
All of a sudden, like that transfer was one that probably no one was anticipating making right away after such a big game, and now with Salah's injury and De Bruyne hauling the way he did, like. I don't know how you don't look at it and say, is this the biggest no-brainer move that, the single transfer that I can make and do it as fast as possible? That's what everyone's been doing. So that's why I'm saying, like, this idea of, like, well, I love the spreadsheet. I love that you can kind of forecast and look ahead. You can see the fixture ticker. You can see, kind of 2 weeks ahead, 3 weeks ahead, depending on how what source you're looking at. I just think you have to be so fluid week on week just because of the way these injuries have popped up, and all of a sudden this guy's not in training this week, this guy didn't travel, illness has knocked guys out, and that just happens. There's nothing you can do about that. So that's why, like, having this hard and fast, like, I got to get this guy for this game week, or by this game week I'm going to have this guy. It's like, great, you can say that and you can pencil that onto your into your notebook or your day planner or whatever.
What about day timer?
You could do it in a day timer.
You think people still use a day timer?
You could do it in a Rolodex. You could write it on a calendar. You could do it on your phone.
No one knows what a Rolodex
notes.
is anymore.
Does anyone know what a day timer is?
I don't know what a day timer is.
I am dating myself, correct?
I
Do you not know what a
I
daytimer
don't
is?
know what you're talking about.
Really, you could write anything on. You could write with any writing utensil on any surface that will allow you to write on it. However, you want to plot your points.
Perfect.
Napkins, toilet paper, whatever.
Table,
hey,
a floor. You could
on
etch
your
it in stone using a chisel and a hammer. I don't know how you keep track of your moves. The point is,
none of those.
To me, it seems presumptuous to say I will plot this out, and this is the way I'm.
Even
going
though
to
there
do
are
it.
resources like we talked out about that give us fixture stuff. So on your Kevin De Bruyne,
No.
So first of all,
there's no De Bruyne on this podcast.
we all got together. The NBC guys got together, and we decided on how we were going to pronounce
White,
it.
not NBC guy anymore.
No, that's what.
Do you want to just?
We had a nice little conversation on Twitter. That's how they did it. You know what? I respect that. So it's De Bruyne.
It is.
Hey, so we had two weebies who did call De Bruyne's Hall this week. Both.
Elliot brought in
both League Andrew and League Elliot. Brought De Bruyne in.
There's a lot of weebies in our
there are
mini
three.
league.
Two out of the three.
I am certain
brought him in.
I am certain that when they
started him.
Yeah.
I'm certain that when they brought him in, they were hopeful. And then when they saw the team sheet, they were furious and said, what a horrible mistake I've made. He's benched just like everyone said,
do you think
including
Elliott
himself.
cried?
And then when he got his first return after he came on with 21 minutes to go, I'm sure at that point you're thinking, I am saved. And then when he finishes with one of the top scores of the game week, you think, I'm a genius.
Yes.
So great.
Listen,
it turned
up
out
until
great.
this point, De Bruyne and Travis. That's how we refer to him on this podcast.
Tomato,
De Bruyne,
tomato.
He says his own name, De Bruyne. De Bruyne. De Bruyne. De Bruyne.
I don't know. I'm just not sure.
Up until this point, you are killing me. Up until this point, he had 1 point.
Hope your brother listens to this.
He does. Up until 1 point. Up until the first match week, De Bruyne had 1 point.
Jota?
With
Jota?
22 minutes. Mr. Jota guy is going to tell me how to say De Bruyne.
We haven't had a how to say
Up
in
until
like a year.
then, we haven't had a how to say in a hot minute. And that might change next week. Up until then, this is De Bruyne's first fantasy points, with the exception of week 1 when he got hurt. That's fascinating to me. He comes in, plays 21 minutes, 12 points, and all of a sudden, I still don't think he's going to start next week. I don't think he'll start the City-Tottenham Cup match.
Right. And he even made the comment, I'm not that player anymore. I can maybe give you 60 minutes. Like he said, that's what he said.
But his fitness is not. Oh, yeah. He was blowing wind 10 minutes into that match.
Yeah.
City needed him desperately, as they were at least, I can't remember the exact timestamp, but it was at minimum 2-2 or 2-1 Newcastle. I think it was 2-1 Newcastle when he came in the match. Travis, back me up on that. At best, it was 2-2. I know City left it late and ended up winning 3-2. So that was, again, this match week extended over 2 technically calendar weeks, and
felt like longer.
It did. It felt way longer than an international break.
So he comes in on the 69th minute and scores in the 74th.
Right.
5 minutes. It took him 5 minutes.
What was the score in the 74th minute? I guess that's my question.
It was 2-1.
It was 2-1.
Okay. So it was 2-1 Newcastle.
Yep.
Right.
And he brought back the equalizer, and then he assisted the winner.
Pep looked down the bench, Brian, and he said, who the crap is going to bail me out of this? Oh,
Ginger.
De Bruyne. De Bruyne, the ginger.
We talked about it. We talked about it the last time we recorded. We knew, kind of going through all the laundry list of injuries that were out there, that we had already. It was already
they didn't
known.
Have anybody else.
Well, no, it was known that De Bruyne said, I'm not coming out to start. I can't. I am not in a physical place
I'm not ready.
to do that.
That's what he said.
It's exactly what happened. If you went to him with any expectation of him starting, you were going against what the man himself had said, and there was no reason to think he was lying.
I'll be on record. Right?
No,
League Andrew, League Elliott, bad move bringing De Bruyne in. There's no
look
way.
like-
There's no way. You could have expected
Well,
anything.
and Elliott's was on a wild card, so maybe he's playing the long game like you were with some of your guys.
But he started him.
and like you were with your hits.
Did he start him?
Yes.
Okay. Then I question it. All I'm saying, but you know what? It worked out. But in the same way that you play the lottery,
Yeah.
someone eventually wins it. Sometimes you win.
No,
I guess
that's
they
what I'm
won.
saying. But I just think it was not. I'm saying if you made it expecting anything, then I don't know what to say other than like good on you. I mean, either you should buy the lottery ticket too. I'm saying the outcome ends up working out way better than you ever would have anticipated.
For sure.
If he finishes with an assist, you're thrilled at that point, but it's not. He hauls. So that's what I'm saying. But now I'm saying that player by himself changes so much as far as the decision making just down the road. Who cares what anyone else on the team did? 21 minutes, goal, assist, 3 bonus points. Name a midfielder, and your whatever midfielder name you insert, that person transferred out for KDB is currently the top transfer combo in FPL. Bowen to De Bruyne is currently the number 1 transfer combo, which is wild to me.
De Bruyne is currently 10.5.
Right.
It's expensive.
For a day or two.
Ownership 17.6%. You're kidding me?
Really high.
Yeah.
What was that jump? There's no way we can actually know this number.
Yeah, you can.
What the jump was and the percentage wise.
You sure
I guess
can.
a week ago. I cannot believe he's owned that much. By the way, side note, while Brian's looking this
It's
up,
a big jump.
I haven't had any dinner. Travis brought down these Christmas cookies that have been sitting on his porch. They're shortbread. It's the best tasting food at the moment I've ever had. I'm starving.
Hey,
so
when
if
you're
you see
hungry,
me continuing to
food is just
consume
food.
Christmas tree cookies with this lime green icing on them, they're shortbread. They're fantastic. I don't know whoever made them, but they did such a great job.
He started the season at 10.5
Okay.
with a total selection of 1.3 million. So that was going into Burnley, their Burnley match in week 1.
That's still pretty high. On
1 million, almost 1 million,
Close to 20%.
almost 1,400,000. Lost almost $1 million after his injury and was down to 180,000 total selection going into Newcastle, and net transfers in or almost 900,000. So he's back up to $1 million. He has jumped in 2 weeks since Sheffield. He went from
12%.
from the end of Sheffield United, which he did not play, to now going into the start of this next game week. He has gone up 0.3. We'll probably go up another tenth before the start of match week 22.
So are you buying De Bruyne?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
De Bruyne,
What
sorry.
I'm saying is like you
Thank
got
you.
Right now?
Thank you. That's how
Everyone,
this pod is De Bruyne.
The
We
moves-
did a how to say. Once you do a how to say, you have to say it.
it's like
All right, sorry, I wasn't listening. I
It
was
is
looking
in
at him.
archives.
It's
Are you
just
buying
that
them or not?
I'm just saying that it's Bowen to De Bruyne is number 1. Foden to De Bruyne. I don't get that one. Other
That's
than
weird.
putting all your eggs in one basket.
Son or Salah to
Son
De
to De
Bruyne?
Bruyne is 3. Salah to De Bruyne 4.
And I understand both of those.
Those kind of make sense
Those make way more sense because you at least have some kind of time
for
frame.
a couple of weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Bowen, he just played 90 minutes. I get it. I get he didn't.
He was dangerous, but he didn't get you any
Bowen
points. So
has
it's just
been a
kinda-
little weird though, because he's had this orange triangle, and no one knows. Every single week he
he's
seems
fine.
to start.
He's fine.
Right. He had an injury. We talked about it. He got an ankle knock, and then it looked like he might not play, and then he did. Like he had to be helped off the pitch, and then everyone gets rid of him.
They didn't
and then,
have anybody.
And
That
then
was
ahead
part
of
the
this
problem.
match, he's back out there and plays 90 minutes. He got tackled in the box as the last play of the game. A minimum, the guy could have had an assist, at least an FPL assist this
Yeah.
week. We talked about it too with the injury to Paqueta. Not the same offense going forward. Who knows? Look what Danny Ings did this week. Danny Ings back on the
all right.
radar. 2 assists, 1 FPL assist, 1 real assist.
He was
for-
like
for Danny
invisible
Ings.
and then 2 assists.
I'm just saying, like,
That's really. I watched that match and that's
Seemed
pretty much
invisible,
what it was.
and all of a sudden he shows up with 2 assists.
He was deep and not really doing anything, and then all of a sudden it's just
like Mikel Antonio's not going to be out forever. Paqueta's not going to be out forever. Like West Ham, like they can figure it out. Bowen is he's their best player. So at some point, it's you assume, barring injury, he'll find a way again.
Yeah.
I just don't understand selling someone like Bowen or Foden to go
Form
to
guys.
get to De Bruyne unless you've already gotten rid of Son and Salah. Whatever. The point is, their schedule, you love it. It's Burnley, Brentford, Everton. Then you get the double game week 25. The issue,
And this is West Ham.
no, this is De Bruyne. This is City.
This is De Bruyne. Okay, sorry.
So Burnley home, away Brentford, Everton home. All three of those you love. Then double game week, both home, Chelsea and Brentford again. So that's as good as you can ask for. The issue is that their Champions League round of 16 match against Copenhagen, away against Copenhagen, is between the Everton match in game week 24 and the Chelsea match in game week 25.
Ooh.
So that's a Tuesday. The Copenhagen match is Tuesday. Chelsea is Saturday. The second part of the double game week Brentford match is that Tuesday. So
Oh.
it's a Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday turnaround.
Saturday, Tuesday turnaround's quick.
There is no way De Bruyne
Yeah.
starts.
Both those matches.
I was
both
going to say
Premier
there's no
League
way
matches.
he starts all those matches. So
You might get one.
Well,
I would guess benched for the Brentford match. I mean, if that feels. I mean, it feels like that since it's Saturday, Tuesday. It's only a Sunday, Monday. Like, I know who knows. We might get there and
Copenhagen isn't like a world beater club either, though. That's a matchup that's maybe even better than
what a
Brentford.
cupcake round of 16 for them.
I mean,
Just
they're
I'm not
a
throwing.
stout
I'm
team,
trying to
but
not
yeah.
throw shade on Copenhagen,
I
but out
guess-
of all the matchups in the Champions League, if you
the
could
round
pick
of 16
one,
especially. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
was
my
pretty
point.
say you get another 20-minute cameo from him. Just with like a 60% chance he comes off the bench for either Chelsea or Brentford.
It's probably a 60% chance that he gets injured. In one
Well,
of
so I
those,
guess that's
too.
the question: is do you want to sell Salah to get him, who should be back by then? Like he'll be back by game week
no. If
25.
you gave me options,
Or are you okay with say 90 minutes total for De Bruyne versus Chelsea and Brentford? Because you're probably doubling, or if you have the availability, you're doubling or tripling up on Manchester City assets for a double game week. You
Can
just
I-
are.
can I make a crazy statement?
Is De Bruyne one of those guys?
No.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm not saying he's complete fool's gold, but if you take, we can go back to last season when he was healthy. He was not a must own. Did he come back in and affect this last match week? Absolutely. He got you 12 points. You know how many times he probably got you 12 points last year? Maybe twice. The entire season. I'm not saying he wasn't a fantasy contributor last year.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember him being in my team. It could have been cost reasons. It could have been other reasons.
He was
I'm
more
just saying,
expensive last year.
I don't think he was a must own at all last year. So I'll say this. League Andrew, League Elliott.
Okay.
I'm not knocking.
You don't have to yell at them.
Let me just-
specifically.
Let me just talk to you by name right
It does
now.
sound like I'm yelling. This is just urgency. That's what I have to tell my
Okay.
when I'm coaching. That's what I have to tell my girls sometimes is like, hey, I'm not mad. This is just urgency.
Just
I
disappointed.
need you to be here and here now, not when you want to. Anyways, my point being is I just don't, for me, there's no way I'm touching De Bruyne. He's going to have to link together multiple weeks before I'm even going to consider it. Number one, I don't know his playing time. And number two, he has never, in my opinion, produced fantasy relevance where I was like, I've got to have him. Guys like,
it's been a while. It's been a while. It's been at least a season, right?
Yeah. But two things on that though. So I tend to agree, maybe not about not bringing him in right now, but the questions I have are: does he make any City assets more valuable? Number one,
Yes.
Holland primarily, and number two, does he make any City assets less value? Alvarez. potentially. You see what I'm saying? Because who's he going to come on for?
Or
right?
I think did he sub? I think Bernardo Silva played 68 minutes.
That's fair, but Holland's not on the pitch. So if Holland's on the pitch, Alvarez or Silva probably isn't on the pitch. You see what I'm saying?
Make a crazy statement.
So all I'm saying is,
Alvarez
I don't think you have to
be the survivor if he starts.
I tend to agree. Well, I don't know. Silva's been so good. All that to say, I think KDB has something to give that isn't necessarily going to require you to own him fantasy wise, especially when Haaland comes back. I think he will be valuable to Haaland with the delivery that has been missing. Second, I do think it's going to give Pep enough to be able to rest some of the guys that he hasn't had the ability to rest, like Foden, like Silva, like Alvarez. He'll rotate them a little bit more, which will make them maybe a little bit less of a lock to bring in for ownership. So I think for me, I'm going back to Haaland as soon as he comes back in because KDB's back in the team.
Well,
I think most people are on that boat anyways.
If KDB was in the team,
but with him back in the team, I don't think it's a question of, okay, well, he's expensive. How did I spend that money when he was gone? Is that more valuable to me? I don't think so. Because he's back in the team, I think I absolutely go to him. And I think he hits more regularly and harder because of KDB, right? I mean, that's just kind of my feeling about it. And again, if he's throwing up numbers, great, bring him in. But I don't think you have to buy him right away to get the benefit of him. You just have to have other City assets who are going to benefit from him being on the
If only there was a way to figure out how many games De Bruyne played last year. It felt like a lot. It doesn't feel like he missed many games being injured last year. Haaland had a record-setting year, and in my opinion, I don't remember one time. I could go back and possibly look how many times I owned De Bruyne last year. I don't remember it being often. It was Haaland was obviously a must-own. Anyways, all that being said, we don't need to linger on this too much more, but it is going to be relevant. Look, I have, like I said, coming off my wild card, I have 9.4 in the bank, which sounds crazy, but again, we're looking at Haaland money, we're looking at Salah money.
He started at 28 games last season.
I was going to say he played 32, and he finished with 162 fantasy points.
Wait. What? I got 183.
Are we all looking at the same stats?
22-23.
In 2022?
Yeah, I'm on the FPL app in his previous seasons. I got 183 points.
Huh. That's weird.
Man, it is odd.
I can't.
Interesting.
I'll say
that you're wrong.
Through 21 games, Salah's got a lot. Through 21 games,
yeah, you're right.
Salah's got 156. Yeah. So, I don't know where exactly that 183 placed, and overall, it probably was top 10. I just don't remember.
Salah was on 239 last year, so it was. Top 10. Probably,
fast math there, almost 60 points ahead.
Yeah.
So that's a minimum 2 points more a game, and they were probably close to somewhat
50,
in score. In price.
Anyways, he's not a must-own.
Look,
but
I'm just saying. Okay,
there can be value there, but it's just too much money.
We just need to. We need to move on.
We talked about that for a long time.
Too long.
So, Brian, what else were you going to say?
To me, I think somebody who had 18 assists last year. So
that's
even
it?
in a,
how many James Miller have?
So even in a down season for him, I mean, he still was awesome. I'm sure there was a time where he had to. I should check why am I looking at old stats? I should be checking my own notes.
Right.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, I don't think it's in any way a bad choice. So set pieces and delivery and assists and all of those things, yeah, it's expensive. If he gets you an assist,
he's 10.5. I guess is my point.
If he gets you an assist for 10.5, you don't love it. If he gets you a 12 like he did this week, you're not even going to think about the price.
My opinion,
that's the point.
Look, I'm not doubting the talent. I just think it's fantasy fool's gold. At this moment, I think it's fantasy fool's gold. People are going to bring him in. The fact that he's owned 17.6%, I think personally is a joke.
And it's going to go up. It's only going to go up.
Look,
for sure.
In 2 weeks we could be talking about this, and I will fall on that sword, and I'll apologize if I have to, and it's bad enough if he gets up in to deserve a where 30% own, and I need to say the apology, Brian, I will if we get.
I mean, look,
but he's
you're-
got to produce, and I don't think it's going to happen.
You've gone from fall down Phil can fall in a hole and die for all I care to captaining
Direct
Phil
quote.
Foden.
Direct quote.
I mean,
yeah.
it's not out of the realm of possibility for that to happen.
I
Dave.
hate that you're right.
So I'm just saying.
I hate that you're right. Travis, what's Salah's injury? What's up with that?
Well, his agent says basically 3 to 4 weeks. Now, is it actually going to be 3 to 4 weeks? Who knows? The big key component here is he's leaving AFCON to come back to England to rehab the injury.
Yep.
Does not sound like there's any surgery involved. It's just muscular. And so he's rehabbing. That said, that puts him on a timetable that he could potentially hit the AFCON final if Egypt were to make it. Let's be honest. The way Egypt's been playing, they're not going to make it
without him.
Not, especially not without him. So, in all likelihood, Egypt will be out. He would technically have been available, but he's going to be injured. But again, we're looking at probably second week of February at the earliest at this stage.
Well, I was gonna say if it's 21 days, if it's literally 21 days, it's February 12th, which is somewhere between Burnley and Brentford, game week 24, game week 25. If it's the 28 days, if it actually turns into 1 month, that's game weeks 25 and 26.
I just think he's a sell for sure at this point.
Which I was going to say, even on the shorter end, I think the feeling is, you want him back in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there can't be I agree with you. I was going to say, no reason to hold him now.
Especially with Diogo Jota.
Given how good the fixtures are, especially if they add the Luton, Luton to Brentford in game week 25
at home,
right? Which Brentford then has Liverpool and Manchester City as a double game week in 25. If things shake out the way this is a Ben Crellin suggestion as well, by the way. But if that ends up happening, like that's a Liverpool double game week 25 with Brentford and Luton. It's Manchester City home to Chelsea, home to Brentford. Like those are
two great.
How do you not end up with six City and Liverpool players going into that double game week? The question is, if you see Salah training in game, ahead of Burnley, if you see him in training, then absolutely it's as fast. The bandwagon is enormous to get him in, even for that match, because it's a home match against Burnley.
He does tend to people heal at different rates. This guy is
fast healer.
Is a relatively fast healer. So ultimately, I don't think he's going to have to be treated with kid gloves. I think they're going to put him back into first team training as soon as he's ready, because just that's the type of professional that he is.
All right, AFCON update. Not that anyone has asked at this point. This is not an AFCON.
Hey, can we
podcast.
get an AFCON update?
So Egypt finished second in their group.
Oh, did they? Really? I thought they were pacing
They had
for third.
3 draws.
Oh,
they got second in their group, 3 draws. This has to be one of the hugest upsets. Cape Verde finished top of the group with Egypt and Ghana and Mozambique in that group. This is not an Afghan podcast. AFCON. Not Afghan. This is not an Afghan. This is not a blanket podcast. This is not an AFCON podcast either. Anyways, Egypt is at minimum moving on to the next stage, finishing second in their group. I don't know exactly who they'll face. It could be Equatorial Guinea, who finished first in their group over Nigeria and Ivory Coast.
Yeah, Ivory Coast out of the tournament.
What in the weird?
I did see that.
Did they officially? Are they officially out? Because
they
haven't set up
Ivory
the top
Coast
third seed.
is out, and they have multiple Premier League players on their team.
Just Google "sad Drogba." You'll get plenty of them.
Oh boy! All right. Anyways, that
or crying Zaha. I think that's another one.
At the moment is your Afghan update.
Yes,
Afghan. I said it again.
AFCON app.
This is not a blanket.
AFCON app date.
Update. You said update? What's wrong with you?
Up dot.
This
What's up, dog?
Not your Afghan
The
You
point
just
is,
said it
Dates.
again.
I know I did it on purpose.
All right.
the point
dates.
is,
He's out.
you'll want Salah
Sell.
back as fast as you see him training,
Especially as we approach game week 25, because it could be a double up.
All right.
We'll know more
And to me,
later.
I just you're making a push. You have nothing else to play for except these. You're in all the other mini cups, so you want to win as much as you can.
Who are you talking about?
Liverpool. I'm talking about your team.
Well, they have nothing else to lose.
I'm saying they don't have other. I'm saying they have.
What's wrong with you?
I'm saying
They're
making,
still in the FA
I'm
Cup.
saying they have.
You're still in the
Yeah,
Carabao Cup.
Both cups.
You're not in Champions League. You're not in.
But
We're
they're in Europa.
and we're top of the
They're top
Premier
of the
League.
table in Europa, and
We're
they're
playing
top
for
of the
4
Premier
trophies
League.
right now.
Brian, they're in this.
I'm saying that you've got a lot of
This guy.
You've got
All he cares about is Detroit Lions.
you've got
It's
your
not-
mini
if it-
cups.
This is not an NFL podcast. Show your
These
T-shirt
are-
quickly. This
these
is
are-
This is a classic
Can we see it?
NFL
we can see it.
Blitz Barry Sanders tee.
Sanders.
Brian, that might be one of the best tees I've seen you wear.
These are all mini cups. These are all. There's nothing serious here. The
Yeah.
thing that
Europa
matters.
serious, Premier League
Europa's
serious,
serious.
FA Cup
For
semi-serious,
Sevilla.
Carabao Cup somewhat serious.
I know it's all silverware. Mickey
It's
Mouse
just-
trophies are still trophies.
It's still trophy.
Hey, Tottenham hasn't gotten any of them, so I don't know what
That
you're talking
is
about, man.
fact
That's
and
very
one of
true.
the truest
Let's be honest.
things
Very
he's
true.
ever said.
No, he's exactly right.
And West Ham celebrated like they won the World Cup when they won the Conference League. So
Hey,
There's
they're
your two
champions of
teams.
Europe, brother, and you can't take
Champions
that
of
away
Europe.
from them.
Right. Some people will never sing that.
And some people will never-
The,
yes.
the point is, I'm saying that Salah will want to come back as fast as
Yeah,
possible,
agree. And he will.
to get
All right.
back into the push. And to me, as soon as you see it happening, you'll need to make a plan to get him.
Jota, Salah, Alexander-Arnold, those are great pickups. Darwin is an option
I guess that-
I
potentially.
mean, no one's picking up Salah now. This match.
No, I'm
week.
saying 425
Oh.
as you're gearing.
Well,
as you're
God
gearing.
bless.
When
It's like
when
in
you go
4
into your
match weeks.
spreadsheet, and you're filling out who you're going to pick up, you should mark those down.
I know.
Yes, in 4 weeks.
I
yes.
know, like everyone else, this we've joined in the chorus of Darwin can't finish and all of the things that are wrong with him, but I should have bought Jota. I don't know why I didn't. Honestly, so that,
Jota.
there's no reason to not go to him. I guess
I'm about Jota.
he's safe until Salah comes back, right? I mean,
He's
play-
probably still safe, honestly.
I was gonna say even when
Salah plays out
comes
on the
back.
right, Jota's been playing through the middle.
Gakpo is now a bench. He is now bench depth for you. He is not coming back into a starting role here.
Hey,
I don't know about that, but
as I'm eating a cookie, can I ask a crazy question?
yeah,
Why does Diaz keep starting?
he's a
When was the last time that he did anything?
he scored the other day.
No.
a couple weeks ago.
No.
So here's
No.
the thing. So Diaz is a player like Firmino who opens up spaces for other players around him, and I honestly think that type of live wire creative. I mean, the one thing you see about Diaz that you don't see with Salah is Diaz will pop up all across the front line. He'll carry the ball across the field and pick up the ball in deep spaces on reverse wings. Salah doesn't do that. Salah just patrols his right side, right? Diaz is all over the
Diaz
place.
had 2 goals on the season. He's got 3 goals, 2 assists in the Premier League season. 2 of those goals came in the first 2 match weeks. He had a goal against Chelsea, a goal against Bournemouth.
He was injured.
Since the first 2 match weeks, he's had 1 goal and 2 assists the rest of the games, and he's played most of them and started most of them. I'm just saying, why
Why
does he keep starting?
Again, I think
Other than the fact that Salah's not there right now,
yeah.
Darwin's numbers crush him, and yet there's weeks Darwin's not starting. So,
They're different players, though. That's hard to say.
I know
mean,
that.
they can't play each other's positions.
but they both play the front line.
yeah, they can't play each other's positions.
Darwin plays on the left
He
when Jota
can.
plays through the middle.
He can, but he's not as effective down the left.
I agree with that.
So, all that to say, I mean, he did play down the left this last
I'm
match.
just making a case that Diaz is getting playing time that he doesn't deserve.
And should be sold as fast as possible before the January window.
If anyone
shuts.
owns Diaz, his ownership is 7.6. What are you
That's a
doing?
little
Yeah, that's
wild.
that's too high.
That was dead teams at the earliest part of the
So
season.
Jota to me is that
Bring him in.
probably should be that should be my transfer this week is Salah to Jota and just suck
agree.
it up.
And I'm on the same boat. I think that's the move I'm
Not
going to make.
Salah to De Bruyne. As much as De Bruyne is tempting just from a single performance, Jota's was still 2 goals and an assist, the best performance of the game week. If you captain Jota, you are an absolute 250 IQ genius. You should be awarded.
Well, I wish I could have possibly thought to have done
Okay.
No, what I was going to say about Darwin is
Who?
Darwin Nunez.
Oh, that
he
guy.
plays for Liverpool.
Never heard of him.
He's got an 8, a 5, and 11 in his last 3 matches. And
I know.
I want to say
It's tough to ignore.
I want to say in the last 5 game weeks here among forwards, he's taken the second most shots. He's got 9 shots on target, which is tied for the most. So it's like Julian Alvarez and Darwin Nunez are like 1-2 in most of the attacking stats, which I'm surprised to see Alvarez up as high as that. Tied for third for shots in the box, 13 of his 16 shots in the box. 38 touches in the opposition box is first for all forwards. And then on top of that, the weirdest stat for me for him, number 1 in chances created among forwards in the last 5 game weeks. 12 chances created for Darwin Nunez in
It
the last
sounds
5 game weeks.
Benteke-ish.
I'm just saying, like, some people, like, he's been a divisive figure. There are plenty of FPL pundits out there who have talked about not wanting him, being tempted by him, getting him and him doing nothing and holding him anyway, regardless of what he does, just because of the kind of dynamite player that he is.
Right.
And now he actually has returns in a way in the last 3 weeks where you're like, all right, is that your move, Ollie Watkins
To
Darwin Nunez? Forget whoever else you can get in here.
Ivan Toney.
Would the match?
That would be the question. Is so. I mean, I want an argument for why. So we already said Ollie. Did we say it on this podcast or was it a previous recording? That we said that Ollie Watkins is a good hold because of the schedule.
I think it's a previous.
I think
recording.
we did not record that.
So what I'm saying is like,
Sorry
so
again.
Ollie Watkins is in almost every team that is paying attention right now, and in the meantime, he's getting absolutely lapped by Darwin in the last 3 weeks.
It's true.
Ivan Toney comes back. You know he's got it's even if it's a bad double, it's a double game week on the horizon, and he can get it. What I'm saying is,
Does
like,
this scare
is
you?
that the move? Darwin Nunez in, Ollie Watkins out.
Does this scare you? Home Chelsea at Arsenal in the next 2 match weeks for Darwin.
Chelsea, not really. Even though
It's at Anfield, and then you're going to Emirates in 22. Home Chelsea, 23 at Arsenal. Would that hinder you from bringing in Darwin?
Chelsea can play well. They have this season played well, probably beyond what you.
Just all over the place.
Right, they're all over the place. So that doesn't scare me.
Chelsea's had 3 clean sheets all season.
Arsenal, like, look, I mean, the last game, it kind of turned out the way you kind of expected it to. Probably
Eventually, yeah.
right. Eventually, there were goals in it. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, the next 2, yeah, great. They're not as good as it is for Aston Villa. But so that's what I'm saying. Like, for Villa, it's. Do you really like that Ollie Watkins plays Newcastle next week? I don't love that. 2 weeks, Sheffield away. Okay, now that's more like it. Home to Manchester United, which is kind of a resurgent, like a kind of coming back up a little bit. Manchester United. All right, that's not great. And then Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Luton, Tottenham. Like, after that, like, there's a point where Aston Villa, yeah, it comes back and everything looks amazing again. So, like, overall, I like Aston Villa's schedule until kind of the first week of March.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I still, like, I'm not wild about Ollie Watkins as a pick. That's another one. I would just say I feel more bullied into making that pick rather than like, oh, I really wanted that guy. where like you could make the case for Solanke all season based on the numbers, and he's been doing it until he ran into the Liverpool buzzsaw, right? But even then, like he still had his moments. So what I'm saying is like these numbers for Darwin are now they're real numbers. So these are like now we can't like you can't really. You don't love getting an assist from anyone, but it's still a return. You like getting a goal from him 3 weeks ago. You love getting did he brace? Was that or was it a goal and an assist for him this week?
This week he got nothing.
No, he got an 11.
This week?
Yes.
Who was he talking about?
Darwin Nunez.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Ollie Watkins.
No, I'm talking about Darwin Nunez.
Oh, yeah. It was he had a
Will
brace.
you listen to this podcast?
I was looking at
What are you
Solanke's numbers.
researching? All right.
Yeah, we're saying a ton of names. I'm just saying
That's true. You're right.
I'm just saying for Darwin.
Yeah, brace.
Are you a buyer now?
No.
I mean, have you
not.
switched at all?
No. I
Although
like him.
It's hard to ignore the 8-5-11.
No, I like him, and I do think that there's
Is this
gonna
a
come
hot
time where
streak
he is.
everyone's been waiting for, though?
No, I don't think so. I hope it is, but I don't think so. There's just so much still missing from his game. It's just weird to watch him because I don't know. It's just he's just.
I guess what I'm saying is the shots have been there. That hasn't been different. It's I honestly to see that he's the most creative forward for 5 weeks. I don't know that I would have guessed that at any point over the course of the season he'd be the most creative.
How many of those have you eaten?
Stop asking.
Look to the cookie. I'm just saying don't know that I would have guessed like, oh yes, it's Darwin Nunez who will be the most creative forward. So I feel like that just adds an element to his game.
That's probably a fair statement. I'm surprised as well, but I don't know. I don't think he's the same complete forward as someone like Solanke, like Watkins, like Tony has been in the past. And that's the thing is that Darwin, the thing that he has to show before my mind will be changed is consistency. And yes, we have had multiple weeks where he has scored.
This is what I need to see, and I think
that's
this
not
is going to
enough.
sum it up for you, though. You want to be able to see him get one chance and one score. He always needs a ton of chances in order to get a score or a really obvious chance.
But even then, he misses a lot of the obvious
what
ones.
you
want to
see
some of the harder ones.
Is him get one chance, one score.
I want him to see him be more clinical.
And be clinical.
Yeah, I want to see
That's
him be
what you
more
wanna see.
clinical. I want him to see him be more ruthless and more
Yeah, I mean that's the thing.
more consistent.
Just
That's really
can
what
he
it comes
put
down to.
some of them away? He hasn't been putting many of them away, but I'm saying now he has.
He
does.
when it rains, it pours for him too.
He's
he
never-
doesn't have single goal games. He has multiple goal games. That's how
I mean,
that's
it's
how he
like
plays.
it's the players who like Jota can come in 2 shots, 2 goals.
Yeah.
Like that is not Darwin. That's not really any of the main like the big strikers. I mean that we talked about that weeks ago. Like missed chances happen for guys who are in the positions to miss them a lot.
Yeah.
So you like that he's in the position to miss a lot of chances. You just don't like it that he's like an 80% misser.
All right, Brian, let's get on to a real team.
Manchester United. Are you buying Rashford?
What
after
questions
scoring
do you
this
have
week?
for me about Arsenal?
Oh, sorry.
I think the only big question is, one, how bad is Gabriel's knock?
Not bad.
Okay, so is he a no-brainer buy at 5-0 still? I mean, the returns are sporadic. He and Saliba are just as likely to get you a 1 as they are to get you a 12 at this point. Are you a buyer?
Do you want Gabriel or Pedro Porro? If you have to pick just one, which one do you want?
Porro. I
Still
would take Porro.
Okay.
Gabriel or Alfie Doughty? Doughty? What are we saying it is?
Gabriel.
Doughty.
Gabriel, because he is a high. Doughty is going to be way more offensively involved, but Gabriel has a higher chance of clean sheet, and Arsenal has had 6 clean sheets on the season. I think that's going to increase.
Neither of those are fair comparisons because Pedro Porro is well over 5-0, and Doughty is well under 5-0. But I was just curious. The fact that they're at least a little bit difficult, though, does speak to, I think, Gabriel's value, right?
Yeah,
it's
like
there.
if I would have had a wild card, would I have saved?
You don't have an Arsenal defender or Ray
I know,
on
you're
your
on
on your
Saliba.
wild
I had
card.
You're on
Saliba,
Okay.
but I started the season with him,
Yeah.
and so
So
now
he didn't even come out on your wild card. Okay, that makes sense.
he's worth 5-0 for me.
Right.
Actually,
Great.
technically, his value's gained, so he's a 5-3.
Same. Yeah.
Right,
I had
but
him from the
technically
beginning.
for everyone else, if you wanted to buy Sleeve, it'd be a 5-6.
Yeah.
Because the FPL league has a weird thing that you only gain value if the player actually in real life gains 2 values, and then your fantasy team can gain 1.
Right, but if you're buying one now, you're not buying Saliba over
Correct.
Gabriel.
If I was buying now, I would buy Gabriel.
Why didn't you take Gabriel out and just cash or Saliba out and cash in on that 3/10 and get yourself a?
Well, because I didn't know he was going to score a 17.
I feel
You
like you
didn't.
should have been able to see that
I
coming.
just feel like you don't know your team very well.
Saliba
Yeah.
outscored him last season.
So
But
what?
not this match week.
Next question,
Fair.
Dave. Again, as I was bullied into picking Bukayo Saka this week, that's 5 blanks in his last 6. Of course, like you said, blanks in a game that Arsenal wins.
What have you done for me
5-0.
lately?
He talked this week. This quote's out there. I know Fantasy Scout threw it out there and some other places, but he just talked about how he's getting double and triple teamed more often this season. So specifically,
I've been on the podcast and said this.
he's
Haven't heard it.
less and less space. 2 versus 1. I found that a lot this season. If there are 3 players in my position, I know that someone on the other side or behind me is free. If it's not helping me, it's helping someone else.
That's correct.
That is Saka's quote.
The reason I listen, I said this at minimum 6 to 8 weeks ago. At minimum. The reason why Saka and Martinelli's numbers are down is because they are both getting double teamed on each side when they get the ball. And they are forcing the ball out of their feet. And Saka just confirmed everything I've been saying.
I guess his stats were not too bad. I mean, he took 2 shots, not enough for someone like him, but he created 4 chances as long as he's taking set pieces. I mean, he almost got, I think everyone was like thrilled that he finally got an assist and as it was initially ruled an assist until it turned into an own goal on Dean Henderson.
Very annoying because that ball was absolutely going nowhere but in. It just happened to glance off Henderson's head.
So, that's an almost assist for Saka, but almost assists don't count for anything. I guess what I'm saying is, do you find it odd that FPL managers have seen enough? He's the 4th most transferred out for midfield.
I don't find that odd.
Okay. Nottingham Forest away, Liverpool home, West Ham away, Burnley away, the next 4 matches. It's honestly not too bad. Are you bringing Saka in if you don't have him now?
So I wild carded last week and kept him in the team,
Right.
thinking that coming off the warm weather trip to Dubai, that things would be a little different. That he would find his shooting boots, he would find some mojo, and Arsenal seemed to. They came back off the break. They scored 5 on a hapless Crystal Palace.
They scored 3. And then they had 10 minutes of extra time, and they scored 2 goals back to back. I mean, that's
however you want to chalk it up there. T, it's 5-0.
And even then, they didn't really score 3. They scored 2, and one of them was an own goal.
Right.
So just saying,
a real team scores 3 and then takes their foot off the gas.
I mean, that's what Manchester City would do.
I mean, City would have pounded them maybe by 8-0, maybe. But that's right. City played them, and they were up 2-0, and then they lost that in the end of the game, and Palace tied them.
Yeah,
don't remember
Now,
that.
Arsenal was lucky they were able to play Palace without the mighty Jordan Ayew, and he does mean a lot to them. And they were able to play them without Olise.
Yeah,
although City played them without Olise and Eze. But who's counting that, Brian? No one. So, anyways,
not 90 minutes of Elise.
Getting back to relevant things.
Was Wilfred Zaha there?
If anyone would have bet that Arsenal's coming off the break, Arsenal's going to score
Vieira's
5
still managing them, right?
goals. Arsenal's going to score 5 goals. If anyone bet this coming off the break, and Saka had 0% of that, that'd be shocking.
Yeah.
I would absolutely.
and Odegaard having nothing.
And
to do.
Odegaard
Yeah,
having
that's
nothing.
fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Declan Rice outscoring both of them
For
combined.
sure. For sure.
So I know you brought Saka in on your wild card, but let me ask you this:
would I bring him in if I wild
Would
card
you
this
rather
week?
have Saka or this cookie?
I've had a lot of those cookies, brother.
You buying Saka or you buying Jota?
I own both.
Okay.
If I didn't own both at this moment, who would I own? I would go with Jota.
Okay. I guess what I'm saying is
I don't anticipate Saka staying on his trend.
it just doesn't work that if you get the guy, you don't get the points he already got. I don't know if anyone knows that.
It's facts.
Right.
Well said. Well said. I don't hate anyone. I would suggest.
I hate having
Okay,
him.
I'll say this.
I didn't like having him.
Right.
I liked having him when at the beginning of the season when he was doing really good, and I was thrilled to get rid of him whenever I thought he was injured. And then as he kept ticking along and barely doing anything and still finding a way to get returns for all the weeks I didn't have him, that was real annoying. And then when I go back to him again and he does nothing, it's annoying again.
I'm with you. If that sounded like Scott Wiebe, and I can't say
it's
that
just
I
FP
can't say
it's-
that you're not right.
It's the FPL story. I'm not saying
No,
it's
for
not,
sure.
I'm not in any way special here.
So
I'm just
why
saying.
aren't you selling Saka for Anthony Gordon right now?
So Anthony Gordon is turned out to be when it was that same thing. Whenever he was yellow flagged, maybe orange flagged, and ended up not being injured, he was a guy that I sacrificed at some point for. I can't remember who. It was someone. I just remember I got rid of
Bowen?
him. I'd have to go back through my.
Right.
I'd have to go back through my team. Either way,
Yep.
yeah. There's no reason to not. I shouldn't have gotten rid of him. That was for Foden
Okay.
or Cole Palmer. It was one of those two.
Okay.
Which overall I think ends up being
fine.
a net
Yeah.
positive, but still,
I mean, Gordon has
Gordon-
more points than Palmer, but yeah,
Gordon's been fantastic.
he's more expensive.
Yeah, those are the only questions. I mean, you're not buying anything with this. The Martinelli brace is
Useless.
Useless.
It was
I was going to
completely
say,
useless.
happy
for him.
Happy Monday to everyone out there, except people who didn't have Jota, Gabriel, De Bruyne, Darwin, or Martinelli. I was going to say Martinelli first, but no one has him anymore. But he's gotten now. He plays 60 minutes, 60 to 70 minutes. You count on that.
no, he did not.
But
play
I'm
that.
saying he most of the season
Yes,
has played
he
that
has
much.
played that.
He comes off the bench because Trossard comes in and does exactly what Trossard usually does, which is be awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Scores, and you think well, there it goes. There goes Trossard stealing the job, and then no, Martinelli comes off the bench and smashes in 2 goals on 2 shots.
Nothing like sitting and watching a little bit, getting benched, and then.
But you're not
getting a little
doing that.
motivated.
That's it. That's easy. Ignore.
Yes.
Okay.
Ignore.
And Jesus' numbers continue to be extremely good,
Not ownable.
but not ownable.
Not
It's
ownable.
too fragile.
Not
Oh,
ownable.
no, it stinks. But
There's
I wish it was.
too
I wish he mattered.
many other good options.
Okay.
Travis.
I do want to talk about Rashford. I do want to talk about Richarlison.
Yep.
Richarlison is sneaky good right now. I think he's in most template teams.
He's not sneaky.
Did you bring him in?
I mean, in the last
your wild
6
card?
match week, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I already had him but yes, he's in my team. In the last 6 match weeks, tell me anyone in FPL who has better numbers than this. 15, 9, 8, 1, 8, 8.
I can tell you that that's 49 points, and that's the number 1 score for all midfielders.
There you go.
Did you set him up? It was like,
And I mean, it's almost like we haven't been doing this for 7, 8
shockingly,
years.
he is not the number 1
Overall,
in form midfielder right this minute.
well, whoever's doing the inform category needs to check themselves
Based on
because
if you
that is ridiculous.
go sort midfielders by form, and you tell me who the number 1 name is. I'll just tell you this while you're looking that up: is that Richarlison is 6th. So in the last 6 game weeks,
Well, okay, I see number 1 makes sense.
why does
That's
it make sense?
no. This is ridiculous. This is
Didn't
based
play
off
for like 5 weeks.
last. This is
I think
this list
I
is
think the
ridiculous.
FPL form is based on the last 4 match weeks. I'm
Well-
pretty sure.
well, there's no way
it's
that's right
it's
then,
the average
because-
of the last 4 matches.
No, then Ward Prowse. Hold on now. No, I have it sorted by form. Ward-Prowse is now ahead of Richarlison. Insane. Rashford scores once, and all of a sudden he's ahead. Insane. Salah hasn't played in at least one match week. Insane. Garnacho, insane.
Well, I mean,
Who is Barrington for Sheffield?
He scored. He's played one match
First
and he
Diaz.
scored one goal.
This is bullshit.
All right,
it's
so-
all gone to crap. Bleep that.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
At this point, Brian, you cannot use this chart because that
All
guy's
I'm
on it.
saying
all right,
is,
also-
I'm not hearing it
sorting by
anymore.
form.
Not hearing it anymore.
It doesn't matter. The point
right.
is that in the last 6 match weeks, he's taken
very
17
good.
shots, which is 6th. So it's not like prolific, whatever, it doesn't matter. 9 shots on target, tied for second most among midfielders. Cole Palmer's also put 9 on target. Salah's number 1 with 13. Taken 15 shots in the box, tied for third. He's had 6 big scoring chances. That's number 1 overall for midfielders. All of it done on just 29 touches in the box, which is
everyone else is doing the hard work for him. It's so weird.
9th best among midfielders. And I guess that's what I'm saying is that this is a guy who I think has gone from, in a really short period of time, somebody whose head was absolutely out of
Struggling.
it, blowing chances like this, to now scoring like that in the last 6 games, and really since he's gotten the kind of vote of confidence here to be the number 9 for them, that he's crushing. And he's doing it on a limited number of touches. I think whoever's first for midfielders for box touches has well over 50. So you're talking about, I mean, that's almost a 30-touch discrepancy with Richarlison performing like this. I mean, when I looked at it,
I own him. So
I know, smart, because you're a smart person. But
I question that. But.
So your question is whether or not this should he be beyond? Is he like a top transfer priority?
It has to be. I've owned him for like the past 6 weeks, I think, 5 or 6 weeks.
His ownership is 11.7%.
But his ownership
really
is
low.
really, really low, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I think he has done enough.
Yeah, it's because the stupid template says get Saka and not Richarlison.
Which
That's why.
is silly. So you do not own him, or you do?
No, I don't. I have Saka because
You sell
guys,
Saka
you guys,
right now. Do it right now.
you guys-
while we're here, do it right now. Get rid of Saka. Bring Richarlison in.
Last week,
There you go.
after the recording was over,
That one makes
I
more
hate
sense.
saying this on the camera. I feel like this is
boy.
embarrassing for me.
Oh,
I
boy.
got it.
You-
I covered it up.
Dave punched me in the stomach and said,
did?
"You buy
Is that-
Saka," and he said he
Is that
called
why
me.
you had his arm bent around and behind him? You were like, "Say uncle, say
I
Saka."
took my knife out and I held it to his throat.
That's why
Oh,
I
got
have
a little
him.
bit crazy. Come on.
What
man.
I'm saying is, again, percentages bullied me into buying
Is that
someone.
what you're calling him now? Percentages?
Yeah, that's my code name. Code name for Dave is percentages.
Percentages.
Bullied me.
You used to,
Blink twice if you're in trouble. No, I think Richarlison is a. I think
Must
like,
have.
I
I think
don't
he's a
know.
must-have.
I don't
That's
know
wild.
I don't know what these numbers. I don't know what else needs to happen
So-
for you, especially because, like we said
Agreed.
last time we recorded, you are probably weeks away from seeing Madison back again. You are weeks away from getting
which should only help him.
Kunming Sun back.
right. And this is all happening while Son is away. So yeah, I mean, and this is all. I think it's all. You don't have to talk about Ange Ball anymore on this podcast. It's all a consequence of a manager who has the full belief of everyone who's playing for him.
Yeah.
So the other name I mentioned was Rashford. Goal in each of the last 2 game weeks, an assist the game week prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
He does look a shade of himself, but
In
he is performing in a team that is figuring it out.
In a
again,
segment we like to call Manchester United, here we go again.
right?
Yeah, 3 straight returns, Dave. What do you say about that? It's the greatest middle finger to your season, more so than whenever Rodri was not quite the
I
player
lost the
you
Rodri bet for sure. I'm
Technically,
sure.
I think Dave was supposed to have Rodri in his game week 21 wild card
Oh.
based on the bet. That
Did we ever say wild card? I just now have to bring him on. Do I have to do that this week?
I don't actually remember,
We need to
and I
rewind the
can't
tape.
be bothered to record this week or listen to last week's.
Okay. We'll figure that out. I might actually be having because I lost a bet. Bring
honestly the worst thing.
Rodri into
That's
my
not
team.
that's not a punishment.
Rashford,
you
credit
come out
to
ahead.
him. Match week 19 against Villa, he got a 5. Against Forest, he got a 7. Against Tottenham, he got a 7. I hope for Rashford's sake he figures out a way to kind of turn this season around, as Manchester United is just a crap team with a crap manager in a crap city. And
Ow.
I'm kidding. Look, there's jokes
Pile
there.
that on,
Jokes, all jokes. I completely
No.
respect Rashford, and I love his talent. As Matthew Berry would say, this is not an NFL fantasy podcast. I like the cut of his jib, and he is a stud. I think he just needs to be in the right place, or be on the right team in the right place, right time. And I don't think the team he's on helps him out with that.
At
He's-
Wolves,
he's a
home West
city
Ham.
kid.
You went through this
Or he's-
already? At Wolves, home West Ham. At Villa, at Luton, home Fulham. The next 5 fixtures. I think this is I think this is an okay run of fixtures for them. Look,
Good time to play West Ham. It's a good time to play Villa. I just, I honestly
to me, it's
think this
price.
is good.
To
Yeah.
me, price is what throws Rashford out. You like 3 straight returns. I just think you prefer
8.4.
you would.
I was gonna say you prefer a $7 Richarlison to an $8.4 Rashford.
6.9 Richarlison, although he might have gone up. I might have had
He
him.
He
did.
was 7-0.
I got him at 6.8. So all that to say, 8.4 right now on Rashford. You're buying Rashford over KDB, right?
I don't know.
You just talked about price. That's why I brought it. That's why I brought KDB up.
Yeah, because I know Rashford's going to play. at the
8-4
moment. I do not know that KDB
versus
is going
10 what?
If you made me
10-5.
choose right
10-5.
now, I would take
10-5?
Rashford over KDB.
Yeah,
Rashford at this moment greater than KDB.
it's a wild question.
No,
Right?
Didn't
I don't.
even-
I don't think it's
yeah,
that wild.
I didn't even think of it, but
I know Rashford's playing. Why is this? Why is it like if you want to?
Yeah, they have this.
If you want to be done with soccer,
I-
Brian,
no. If
can money.
I'm done. I'm not done with soccer.
there are way cheaper options to go
Yeah,
to.
and
than
I'm
Rashford.
not throwing him out after
Right.
I just got him.
I just wanted to mention him because ultimately he does seem to be on an upward trajectory. He's one that has the talent, has the pedigree to continue that trajectory. Just a matter of if his team is going to albatross him down to his season average, which is very, very low.
I don't know how much you buy. Like it's professionals that they have to say professional things, and then for the most part, unless they're immature babies, they're not going to say anything that is that's unprofessional. I don't feel like I've heard anything other than there's every time there was a report we talked about it because it's the same headline that everyone else can read about. Like, is there internal turmoil? Has Ten Hag lost the dressing
What's
room
going
and
on?
all of those
Yeah.
things with Manchester United, and then every time the players have a chance to say anything, it's like, no, that's not true. I haven't lost the locker room. We trust our manager. We're going out like we still can. We believe in this project, kind of thing. And I think results are, they're better than you probably would have guessed, and that's why we said that weeks ago. Like, look where they are in the table.
Yeah.
As big of a dumpster fire as it looks like they've been for most of the season, they're not.
they're 8th.
That's not the. Where they think they should be, or where the history of Manchester United demands that they end up being. That's low. But for this season, the way things are, they feel like
They're 3 points out of 11th.
they feel like a bottom half team, and they're not. And they were in 6th a couple weeks ago. What I'm saying is that, like, you have Garnacho, who had a brace 2 weeks ago and an assist last week against Forest, but blanked against Spurs, but he's 4.8. The guy has already he's had a brace this season recently.
So
And then you have, I would say even wilder, is Højlund, who 2 goals and an assist in his last 2 appearances. It's the same kind of thing with all of these guys where it's like, it's the reason why if you ask me De Bruyne or Rashford, to me, I trust Manchester City more than I trust Manchester United, regardless of player.
So
I would say in that case, you want to pick somebody equivalent price or in that around that range. Bernardo Silva is 6.8 or something like that.
All right.
and the guy just keeps doing it week in and week out. So that's what I'm saying. Like I can't imagine what it would take for me to get Rashford, but yeah, he looks definitely better. And the fixtures upcoming, yeah. The argument is out there of like, this guy was awesome a year ago. Like, he was an essential asset not that long ago. You know, it was definitely the end of last season. So the drop off was significant. The fact that he's put 3 straight returns together, do you want to get in on it early? Like, what if this is the start of another run for him in the second half where you're like, yeah, we might end up wanting to get Rashford back in?
So I have 2 more players that I want to ask you about. The first is Chris Wood.
Okay. He's on the list.
You talked about Garnacho at 4'8", Chris Wood at 4'9". His numbers are very good since Nuno Espirito Santo took over. He has started the last 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Dave, you want 4 game weeks of results. Look at Chris Wood's
in those 4 game weeks, he's had an 11, a 17, a 2, and an 8.
Yeah. He didn't do crap in the last run of good fixtures.
Give me some Wood.
He didn't do crap in the last run of good fixtures that Nottingham Forest had several weeks ago, and now he's scoring for fun. The last 5 game weeks among forwards, he has 39
he hasn't
points.
Started
39
really at all.
points. Number 1 scoring forward in the last 5 game weeks. 5 goals. Number 1 forward in the last 5 game weeks. He's only taken 10 shots. So Raul Jimenez has taken 10 shots. But he's got 5 goals and 10 shots. I don't know if you can do fast math on that, but that's a really good percentage of goals.
So I guess
6 shots on target. 5 goals. 5 goals. 6 shots on target. That is some serious.
His fixtures
Brian,
aren't
is
awesome, but
is this a farce or is this for real?
I don't know. Do you want him for this run? Arsenal, Bournemouth, Newcastle, West Ham, Aston Villa, Liverpool. That's their next 6 matches.
Probably not.
Probably not. But at the same time, like, it's Chris Wood. He scores on every set piece.
He scores when he wants to.
If you're asking me if I'd rather have Chris Wood or Archer, like I currently do, I would rather have Chris Wood. I would way rather have.
So
Chris
if you've got a trash low number, that's a great punt.
If I was wild carding and I was making my third forward a like if I needed the money, Chris Wood is a way better choice. If you're not going to just scrape the barrel with a dead forward and the cheapest possible price, then yes, Chris Wood is actually capable of putting a run together like this.
By the way, this run coincides with his starts. Okay, up until this point, he'd only started about 2 to 3 games all season. He started now 4 matches in a row, 11 against the informed Bournemouth. Bournemouth has had a very good season. A top 5 Newcastle club that he had a 17 on, and then a match against Manchester United, 2, and then a Brentford team who's in the top 10 as well. He gets an 8. I'm just saying, I don't think those numbers should be poo-pooed. And if I could wild card over again, I probably would have wild carded out one of my strikers, Watkins, Alvarez, or Solanke, and brought in Chris Wood. I made a mistake there.
He's currently the 12th most transferred in forward. More people have transferred in Timo Werner this game week
than
Chris Wood.
As they should. All right,
really?
So last name.
I think
no.
I'm not going to let that. I'm saying if you're
I'm
like,
not going to let that go.
Look, you have if you are not doing, if Holland is not in your team, and it's some combination of Darwin, Alvarez, Ollie Watkins, Dominic Solanke. So already you have 4 forwards that you're like, you're pressing me on this, I'd rather have any of those 4 guys than Chris Wood compared to any of those guys. You're arranging your team by forward. That's why I'm saying it depends on what else you're trying to do.
You're right. I was going to say, what if it meant you could have...
It's a perfect
You can have Salah, you can have Son, you can have Holland. TAA, you can have whatever keeper... you can have whatever you want
totally,
at that point, right?
Right. Totally different if you're going to say my forwards are going to be Holland and Darwin and Chris Wood, and I'm only playing Holland and Darwin, really. And Chris Wood is just a guy, if I
In
need
case.
him, he's there.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I still don't think you're playing him unless it's a absolutely green
I-
matchup, or you find out that it's a team that's bad on set
I
pieces.
am right there with you.
I think we need to discuss Ivan
So,
Toney.
Well, yes.
And then
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You
I
go.
had one more name.
You go.
Let's do Ivan Toney, and then I'll go back to mine because it's fine. Go ahead. Ivan Toney, because I want to talk about him too.
He's back.
He's back.
Ivan Toney's back. And it was also curious to me that he came back and was listed as captain. Now, I don't need to go into all the
interesting.
Brentford history of Ivan Toney, but they stuck with him, and I think he feels like he probably owes him something. It was
He
just
said as
interesting to
much.
me. Funny thing, sure, obviously for those who don't know, he got involved, and I'm going to go through this quickly, in some gambling issues, was found guilty. Maybe he pleaded guilty. Bottom line is the FA said, you pretty much got to miss the first half of the season. So the first half season's gone. He can now play. He obviously is fully fit. He's been watching the Premier League. My favorite thing about the information that came out about his gambling is this. He bet 29 times total on his team, the team that he was currently on. 16 times he bet that his team would win when he was playing. So he was playing in the game,
Yeah.
bet they would win. This goes back to Pete Rose stuff. This is not a Major League Baseball podcast. I don't care if you're betting on your team to win and you're playing, you're trying to win the game, then I could care less. Great, no problem. Bet away. The other 13 times he bet on his team, and I thought this was hilarious, and I don't have a problem with this either. He bet on his team to lose, but Travis, he was not playing in those games. So it's like, hey, they're going to lose. I'm not playing. Like, I'm the best player. They're not playing.
Yeah.
So I think they're probably going to lose. Now, I have a little bit more of an issue with that. I have way less of an issue betting on the team when I'm playing to win. Anyways, that being said, we don't have to dive into Tony's betting scandals. But, Travis, you want to say
I
something
guess
briefly?
the only thing I want to say about that is that ultimately I am fine with the action taken against him, even with that, specifically because something he actually said this week or over the weekend into this week was that someone asked him basically about, was he, could. I don't know how it was worded, what the question was, but his answer was, I don't want to be, I'm not in a position to be considered a success story for gambling addiction.
Okay.
Because he's still having trouble with gambling, right? So I think that the action was probably necessary in order to get him the help that he needed, which is, I think, probably makes it okay, even though it's a little bit like, yeah, he bet the way he bet because he was playing or not playing, right? He obviously has a problem.
There
he
was
needed some help.
over 200 plus
sense.
accounts of him betting,
Sure.
which I don't even care about those.
Which doesn't matter.
The only thing that you should be worried about are games he's playing in,
Right.
or the games he can affect, and he technically didn't bet incorrectly on those games.
Right.
It's not like he was.
Yeah.
It's not like he was betting his team to lose and he was playing
And
Therefore,
trying to make them lose. You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Integrity of the game was not called into question by what he was doing.
Exactly.
However,
my point.
He was in need of some help, and it sounds like that's something he's acknowledging. He's not quite there yet.
Good for him. All right. Moving on quickly. I think it's definitely someone I'm going to keep my eye on. He came back. He scored this week. I think if only there was a way.
He did, and he scored in both the warm-up games that he played for the Brentford B team.
He had a hat trick, I think,
sharp.
in one.
He is sharp.
He's listed as an 8-0. He comes back first week, scores Nottingham Forest. Now,
sneaky free kick goal.
this
Only
is
sneaky because he moved the ball.
This is what would slow
the
me
foam.
down is their Brentford's upcoming schedule. At Spurs, home City, at Wolves, home Liverpool, at City again. Not the greatest.
Yeah, but
Not the greatest.
a player like Tony scores.
I'm pumping the brakes
He's
FPL
almost. He has historically been almost fixture proof.
I don't remember him being relevant fantasy last year. He could have been.
Well, he's super cheap.
He could have been. I just don't remember him being that fantasy relevant. Anyways, all that being said,
You're not
we
buying
needed to
yet.
discuss him.
No, I don't hate.
It's
I
been
don't-
discussed.
No, I don't hate getting him. And he's in
Ito's
that.
kind of.
He's just
hot.
he's like now we've reached the point where there was a few forwards that you wanted, and there was one guy, and then like a handful of others that you could maybe choose from, but there was 10 or 11 midfielders that are viable. Now we're getting to that point with forwards where there's like seven choices where you're like, well, it's not crazy.
Yeah. Again, the only other thing that might be crazy is Reguilon is now on a Brentford.
I have thought about that.
I will be keeping my eye on that. What's also weird is he's 4-4, so dirt cheap, and if he starts getting some starts, worth keeping an eye on because his offensive capabilities now crossing it to Tony now all of a sudden becomes a thing.
Yeah. Brentford's got a lot of stuff going on, but yeah, Reguilon is an interesting one. You kind of brushed over one earlier that I wanted to mention too. Not the one, not where I was trying to go earlier, but
Alfie Doughty.
Brereton Diaz looked every bit a Premier League player.
Who?
Brereton Diaz,
the guy that
he's on the form table.
He's ahead of Richarlison on the form table.
He's a Chilean.
Oh, he's played one match.
He played one match. He's played one match, scored one goal, and he was a handful in that match too, which is really interesting.
Who's he
very
even played
aggressive.
for?
Sheffield United.
Sheffield.
So
go get him, Dave.
Sheffield
you're talking
Wednesday?
about
No.
That's.
I understand what I
wash
did
your mouth
there.
up.
I understand. What I did.
So another one to watch, I guess, is the point. To that end, one we have been watching that is now
Ben
back.
Brereton
Diaz. So one that we have been watching,
not
who
going
has
to be an
been
issue.
out.
I'm looking at
and
his
is now
profile.
back.
That guy won't be an issue. I'm looking at his profile picture, fantasy wise, not an issue. Not an issue. We'll never reference him
He didn't
again.
pass the eye test.
Never reference him again.
For Premier Leaguers, he has an anti-beard bite. Did you know that?
Maybe. I don't know.
I believe that. Pedro Neto.
Yeah, Neto was back.
He played 10
Love that
minutes
guy.
against Everton. He played 80
He played
something
almost
minutes.
the full match today.
This last match today.
He looked
against
great.
Brighton. He looks every bit of the player that he was before he left. To rehab. Hee-Chan is out. We talked about how everything goes through Neto and Hee-Chan. With Hee-Chan away,
Cunha and Lamina looked also pretty solid too.
And Cunha is playing fine. So is Pedro Neto one of your 11 midfielders that you would consider?
No,
or is he
but
just not there yet?
No, but I can't imagine he wouldn't sneak back in at some point. It's just Manchester United home, Chelsea away, Brentford home, Spurs away. That's their next 4 for Wolves.
Probably not ideal.
It's okay. Neto's done it against better teams than that. So, and his run of returns was crazy before his injury. So, I was going to say Wolves defenders are currently, you want to sort by form. Craig Dawson, Max Kilman, and Totti are all in decent form as far as form goes. Those guys are all 4-5 or less. But same, it's just I think the fixtures and the situation. Maybe when Hee-Chan is back, that's more exciting. I don't know. You could jump early. He was not one of the guys that to me, I'm like, I got to go get that. Yeah. No, Neto.
5-6 numbers aren't crazy. His ownership is less than 2%.
I was gonna say he's a real jump on an early differential right this second.
Okay, that's what I had for people to talk about. Is there anything else?
Solid work.
Yeah, there's a handful of other names. But as far as situations go and stuff, like I said, I just think a lot of it is there's a lot to shake out by the weekend.
I think what you started with, Brian, early was there's tons of cup matches. Just wait. Like you said it before.
Can you wait till Sunday? Can anyone wait till
what you
Sunday?
always say, what this pod now should say, is information greater than money. Right? Did I screw that up?
No.
That's it.
Information greater than money. Right now, especially with Son and Salah being non-factors in this match week, there's tons of money out there.
Waterfalls.
So you don't have to.
Yes, thank you, Left Eye.
TLC said it best. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Left Eye, listen to her and the lyric.
No, so the other folks that are out there, like I feel like if you're jumping on fixtures or you're jumping on a player or whatever, like I don't know what Estupiñán's selection percentage is now. I'm assuming it's only going
26.4.
and that's going to go up higher after his performance today, and especially when you look at the Brighton upcoming schedule.
Estupiñán since he's been back 668.
Yeah, and today, so 8 is because he
upcoming schedule at Luton, home Palace, at Spurs, at Sheffield, home Everton, at Fulham, home Forest. No one has a better upcoming schedule than Brighton.
I don't know how excited you're going to be to have Estupiñán playing against Tottenham, because I think the possibility of a clean sheet is almost zero for them in that game. However, it should be an open game. And so Estupiñán as an attacker today, I think you got to, if you watched it at all today, I mean, Estupiñán, the reason why, even on 72 minutes or however long he played, he was on 3 bonus before he was subbed off. Again, he's one of the, like, I was mostly okay seeing him get subbed off because at that point he was banking a clean sheet on 3 bonus points.
Right.
Even losing that last 18 minutes, plus I think they had 10 minutes of stoppage time in that game. Even with all of the stoppage time and the time that he wasn't on the pitch, he still finished with 2 bonus points. So I feel like that's already the type of player we knew that he was. So to me, that's a guy that's like, do you have him? If you don't, I feel like that's a guy that you could really quickly see, again, like everyone, barring injury, he's come back and already, he scores a goal and, it's 2 clean sheets, 3 clean sheets now and 2 bonus points for him. So Estupiñán's one of those guys. Anyone else, like, if you keep going up, I know how Pascal Gross was already somebody we've talked about last time we recorded. I still don't think he's a bad pick. He would be one of those guys, like, more than Neto. He'd be a guy just based on what we know of him and his capability. Like, it was just a bad game today for, there's just no offense for Brighton or Wolves in a game where both of those teams have been typically offensive. João Pedro keeps starting and playing most of games. That's another forward. He's 5.5. I mean, that to me, you want to balance like a Chris Wood with someone. Like, can you find 0.6 to go to João Pedro, assuming he keeps getting in there? On the back end, this is somebody just to clear this up. Jason Steele, goalkeeper for Brighton. Currently your number one. I know, Dave, you're doubting the form table now, but sorted by form, Jason Steele is your number 1 form goalkeeper.
Well, he had a good game today, so he must be in the top.
It's a 1, 8, and a 10 in his last 3 matches. So that's a lot of points for a 4.2 goalkeeper. I just would like to be clear that this is a goalkeeper rotation that De Zerbi himself is saying between him and Verbruggen, I think is the other.
Yeah, sounds right.
Is the other goalkeeper with De Zerbi when they specifically, this is in the Argus. Brighton's covers Brighton extensively. When asked whether De Zerbi will continue rotating goalkeepers, his answer was maybe yes, maybe no. I have 2 great goalkeepers. So it's a true goalkeeper rotation. He specifically went on to talk about the ways that Jason Steele is better in certain situations and Verbruggen is better in other situations. And that his quote was, "We have great goalkeeper coaches, and with them, we will decide the best solution."
No one's giving him crap like they are Arteta.
If you want to risk a 4.2 goalkeeper in Jason Steele, go ahead. I just wanted to clear it up. Like, great, he finished with a 10 today. That's what I'm like. A great performance, huge score for a goalkeeper. I'm just saying, even at 4.2, there's a rotation. Mavropanos from West Ham.
I know that guy well.
Currently, your number 1 form defender.
I did see that.
So yes, West Ham gets a disappointing 2-2 draw here in their last match, but you're talking about Mavropanos has gone 6-15, 6-1. We talked about West Ham's run of clean sheets that are always going to boost your numbers. I don't think the Vladimir Soufal getting a red card, that doesn't help them.
Soft red, but yeah.
It's not great for a shaky defensive West Ham team as it is anyway.
He said that like a soft red was like a lesser sentence than a red.
It is. So he didn't get a straight red. He got 2 yellows.
Yeah, it was 2 yellows. It was a dumb second foul. But
It's
either
still-
The first
way,
one was
It's
dumb,
still
too.
a
It was
red.
for-
I would
it's not a
say-
straight red.
Well, it's
still a red.
The number of matches they have to sit out is
Yes,
different
it's
based on
one.
soft
It's
red
just
versus
one instead of
a
three.
straight
because
red.
we had talked about Emerson too, and I would rather have Emerson as a pick anyway. But West Ham defensively, probably a hard avoid until they finish. They're home to Bournemouth, then at Manchester United, then home to Arsenal. So the next 3, I would just say probably don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Just to say too, Alfie Doughty, like, lucky to be in the form that he's in a little bit, given the assist that he had against Burnley here this game week. Easily could have been ruled out. Did you see that one? It was the
No.
goalkeeper interference.
I missed that.
Went to VAR and they determined that it was not goalkeeper interference. Goal stood, and so it was a Doughty assist. Like at stoppage time. It was
Okay.
right near the end of the game. But Doughty's last 6. Dave, these are your kind of numbers. 8-0-9-7-9-5. I mean, you can't really. I mean, that's nice. And that was largely the reason why whenever I was
You brought him in.
taking a hit, it was to bring in that guy. 5 assists in his last 6 matches. That's your number 1 overall player, all players in the last 6 game weeks. 5 assists. 10 chances created. That's 4th best for defenders. He's been doing that all season long. And I would add to that, in the last 6 matches, 21 touches in the opposition box. That's second among defenders only to Destiny Udogie,
Wow.
who's touched the ball 22 times in the opposition.
That's a lot of touchy.
Touching in that.
Hey, you need an enabler?
Yes.
Stay in Brighton. Let's go back to Brighton and Hove Albion.
Not Joao
Jan Paul
Pedro.
Van Hecke.
Who?
Jan Paul Van
Van Hecke.
Hecke.
Okay.
4-0, 2.2% selected. He started every match for Brighton since game week 11. You don't have to search very far to find Roberto De Zerbi praising him. Lewis Dunk said he's had the biggest improvement I've seen in a player since this manager arrived.
Wow.
So he is starting every match for them. I'm sure he's come up elsewhere on other better podcasts. The point is that now that this podcast is aware
Sure.
that he is doing this, he's 4-0. I think that money matters at some point, and where Kabore and some of the other like Luton and Burnley
sure.
and those kinds of defenders
Yep.
where you're
This guy actually is going to give you a shot at a clean sheet.
right. And look at the Brighton schedule coming up. I don't see how this is bad. This is who you should have brought in on your wild card, Dave.
Not Brother Matt Dunk. Brother Matt brought in Estupinian Dunk and Pascal Grob.
Wow.
Also known as Gross.
Wow.
In his wild card. Kind of
That's-
trash bird heavy there.
Yeah.
I mean, the fixtures say
Grob
that's
didn't
not
bring him a
terrible.
return this
No,
week.
not at all.
But
I
if
don't-
you are looking at fixtures and you need differentials, honestly, it's not a bad move.
well,
And trust me, he needs differentials.
Now, he crushed this week. 75 this
that's
week.
a great score. Great score.
He's knocking on my door.
Yeah, those are the main guys. I was gonna say, like, if you want to go crazy with, I know Isak is a popular transfer in this week. He's had
Especially if Wilson leaves.
goals in 3 straight. If Callum Wilson leaves, but as of the last discussion from Eddie Howe, Callum Wilson is expected to be fit for the Aston Villa match.
What's they have? They can't sell him
That's what I
unless
was
they're
gonna
going to
say.
buy somebody. And
No, there's no way. They are too thin. They've had too many injuries. I can't. How would they sell anybody?
they need to be buying, but they can't afford to because of FFP.
No, I think. I mean, those are all like, you can talk about all the other the other names that
loans.
were huge that had big scores this week. Dave, you were disappointed, I'm sure, with Foden's outcome, but I don't think you're
Brutal. Just brutal as a captain in this past week. It's just so annoying.
Stats for Foden and Julian Alvarez were off the charts this week. Both guys took 6 shots.
And both got me jack squat. when it came to
Both guys
fantasy.
created 4 chances. I mean, Alvarez probably rubbed it in everyone's face harder because he had almost a 0.72 xG to go along with his no return. But
Wow.
I don't think to me, those are still guys that you would probably want to find ways. Well, you want to find a way to get to Foden. I don't know.
I have Foden.
I don't know how much you want
just,
Alvarez.
It's just an
That's
Alvarez
what I was
is
saying
get,
earlier with KDB.
Alvarez is getting
know.
sacrificed to Holland.
You said he was going to be the one that was going to stay.
Maybe.
Well, I just don't know if we recorded that or not.
Sometimes I say things. I don't know. I walk in Solanke and Alvarez. It at the moment feels like Alvarez is going to be odd man out, very possibly. We'll see.
Cole Palmer's in your team?
He is.
Okay.
I wild carded
Not
him
currently.
back into my team.
I mean, we kind of glossed it over. I mean, he ends up with a really good week. Of the guys that were like a top a top
there was a lot
captain possibility,
options.
he ended up actually getting you a really great score.
Very good.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm
really
just
know.
waiting for that bubble to burst, and the longer I wait, the more stupid I feel for not jumping on it.
The guy I wish I could get. I mean, it's been a minute, but Alex Moreno, Aston Villa finally keeps it. It finally keeps a clean sheet.
Travis, if you thought
1 hour and 45 minutes,
if you thought that we were going to get through this pod,
I
without
almost
Alex
said
Moreno
something, but I
reference.
sat on it because I knew he was going to say it.
I mean, he got a bonus this week. He's he was one of the bonus point getters for Aston Villa.
He scored, but then I think it got marked
All right.
out
Yes,
for.
true. He did. He scored in the first
Let's
half.
narrow this thing down. One last thing. Obviously, wait. I would say wait. Especially Brian gave us all the reasons why to wait. Wait for any transfers, regardless. Especially right now, with some heavy hitters not being relevant. The money is free and loose. Do not make transfers yet. Price rises will not make a significant difference for you. Period. I can easily say that for a fact. So wait for the cup matches till they're over to see who's healthy and who's not. Brian, what's last? One last thing here.
No, that's it.
Travis?
It really. What are you doing with? Or have you done your transfer?
No. I as we've been potting, I've been looking. I'm not going to make a transfer this week.
Okay.
There was no one that I need to go get, so I'm going to bank it.
Yeah, I'll probably make a move, maybe two. I took my first hit of the season this week, by the way.
You haven't taken a hit at all?
No, I don't like taking hits.
What the god donkey?
Yeah, it was weird. Anyways, all I'd say, I may take another hit this week. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know what
I have a selection issue again. I'm looking at my matchups and I'm like, golly, man, who's gonna ride the pine here? I don't feel like Chelsea and Liverpool is gonna be 0-0. Now, last time they played, it was 1-1, and I'm just I'm looking at it and I got Jota and I got Palmer, and then I thought they're playing each other next match, correct?
Yeah, but there's a lot in between there because Liverpool's playing Fulham EFL Cup, so there's a good little bit of a gap.
Yeah, I was just looking at it and like Arsenal's playing Forest, Brighton's playing Luton, Luton's playing Brighton because I have Doughty, so Doughty and Stupin are playing each other. Gomez is home Chelsea, Pedro Porro is home Brentford, but is Ivan Toney going to score on the Spurs defense, Brian? I don't know. Is Richarlison going to score on the...
Not now that Van de Ven and Romero are both back. He's not.
Interesting. Okay. All right. All that being said, at this moment, I don't know who I'm going to captain. I mean, Phil Foden, the C is on Phil Foden. He sure seems like a decent captain pick going into the next match week.
Yeah.
After the run he's been on, and he did not point this past week. So, once again, I can't wait to captain fall down Phil and him continue to put me through the ringer as he does not net any fantasy relevant points. That being said, gentlemen, is there anything else?
Game week, do you want to do the leaders?
Fly through it. You got it?
No, you told me I couldn't do it anymore.
I did? Oh, yeah.
Because I tripped over every freaking
you
name on
watched it.
there.
I will cover this as it is absolutely relevant. I'm going to go through the top 5 in our podcast league. Rockabye Angel League Shen is leading the way with 1307. Beast of a score. Nerdstradamus Wrexham League Michelle followed him up with 7 points behind him.
See, he didn't even say it right. But we're not getting
Nerdosaurus. I said
whatever. That's the one I tripped over.
Nerdosaurus Rexum.
guy.
What did I say?
All right, Brian, you're doing it.
Yeah, you said Nordstrom Rackosaurus.
I can't believe why always me is in the league third.
Yeah, you were saying
Leave
off camera
Josh.
how dumb he is. That's so
That's
weird.
not true, Josh. I
can't
did
believe
not
that.
say that.
Called you Josh.
By the no.
Well, he
I'm,
was
I'm
saying it to
referencing
Josh.
League Josh. League
Oh,
Josh
I thought he was saying
absolutely
he-
listens.
His wife's probably playing for him. That's probably what it is.
I coached him in high school, so I know League Josh. As he, not in soccer, in basketball, he was an excellent high school basketball player. I'm sure he's still a good basketball player, excellent athlete. But he is.
Oh, I know him.
I know he's a listener.
Oh, he is. Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
No,
Yeah,
he's a
good
listener.
job, Josh. Oh my
And
gosh, he
he's
really
a-
is. He texted me earlier in the season to say that he was having a really good season.
Yeah.
That's
And you're
Yeah.
like,
he's not
getting
lying.
better. I
who,
do not
who dis?
remember.
New phone.
Yeah,
I do not remember seeing him in third. So, hey, League Josh, well done. Hey, League Bo Sunsell away in fourth place. He tends to hang around the top, along with League Xander. A Flecken team is in rounding out the top five. So, our mini league over Tinker, League Andrew, right there in seventh. So, and then League Diane right there in ninth. So, hey, our mini league is getting close to being represented. Brian slacked off, and so we're missing our normal. You know, Brian was fighting.
harder,
I don't
man.
know what Brian's been doing. He's been slacking off, Travis, and our mini league. He's not representing the pod, crushing in the mini league as he normally has been.
I have all template picks,
He's-
and I'm dropping like a stone. So it's as usual. This is
The template
around.
does not do you
Hey,
good.
Thanksgiving,
I will say this.
Thanksgiving to Christmas is never kind to me anyway.
Alex
so.
Moreno.
You're right.
You
No
need Alex
one-
Moreno. Get him in
Yeah,
your
if
team.
I had Alex Moreno, I
No
would be doing
one crushes the back half of the season like Brian J. Shesko. All right. I don't even know if that's his middle name. I just made it up.
It is.
It is.
It is.
You're
now.
For the FPL America podcast, this is David Smith. Until next time.